This is part 2 of the modding with the Burstwave here. I got a little interrupted there with packs coming, but we're back, and before I left, I tried to fix this, but I just didn't have enough time. But what we've got going on is we have plugged the OPRV, the overpressure release valve, and we've ran into a little bit of a problem when this thing gets pumped up way too much, which is avoidable but can still easily happen. It does not want to fire. This little button right here does not want to get pushed in by the trigger. And originally I figured this had something to do with this arm, right? Because the arm's kind of hollow on the other side and not exactly the strongest. Turns out that's not entirely the case, because if I gently show you, it's kind of hard to see, but if you look up here, when you pull the trigger, the entire tank moves. And the problem I was running into is that the entire tank was flexing. Not exactly a good, or not the tank, I'm sorry, the entire shell of the blaster was flexing, which is why I couldn't pull that trigger. So today, all we need to do is figure out how the hell we're gonna reinforce the shell around the tank so it doesn't move. And right off the bat, it's really difficult to see, but in there, where those two things meet up with the tank, well, there's actually a gap there. So my idea is I am just going to fill the crap up here with epoxy putty. So hopefully this will do us some good, and we can stop the tank from flexing, or the shell, again, excuse me. And, well, if that works fine, I will have myself my most favorite blaster ever. So, let's get to it. So, we have covered the entirety of the tank with super lube, so we'll not stick to this. And we are just going to take this, and we are going to fill in this spot right here with it, because this is where the tank makes contact. I'm going to take the tank and shove it in there. Work that around. Make sure that is in there nice and tight. There we go. And we're going to let that cure for a little bit. And I'm going to do it to the other side just a little bit as well, because there is still those kind of weird bars right there. So we'll get on that. That way there's kind of even distribution on the shell. So, we've got both sides of the shell filled up with epoxy putty right there, so the tank will fit in there nice and snugly. And while that cures, we're going to fill in the arm here, the little gaps right here, with some epoxy putty as well, to make sure that this is strong enough to pull or push this button. So that's going to be very important, although I don't think that's the primary case. We're just going to go ahead and do it anyway. Hopefully that won't add too much weight to it, however. So, the epoxy putty has set, and now we're going to test to see if this thing works any better. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, worried me a little bit. That just popped off, though. Trigger is still pretty easy to pull. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Alright, I think I would say, I'm just going to stop counting, I'm just going to start pumping. It actually gets to the point where it's too difficult to press, or not, well, it's too difficult to pump, but I can still press the trigger and have it fire effortlessly. So, yeah, you can see it shook everything right there. Well, just need to pop that barrel back into place and give this thing a test drive. So here's what this thing is going to look like once it's put back together. The turret rotation mech you can turn sideways. It has the little stopper right here that stops air from coming out. You want to make sure that's nice and snug against the actual opening right there. Otherwise it's going to be a pain in the butt to put back together. It does slot in very tightly. That should be an almost perfect seal. This guy, your pump, you could totally replace. In fact, it wouldn't be hard. I just don't want to do any more damage to this blaster. I think the pump is good enough for what I need right now. And in all honesty, it's not that bad. It was really efficient before, and well, I haven't really seen too much of a drop here. 15 pumps to get the kind of pressure I'm getting out of it isn't exactly going to upset me. Make sure this blue piece right here is behind the red, and then back here, it's going to socket in right there. Really, really easy to do. And the only other problem is make sure your tubing is squished between these two, or else you're going to have a bad time because you can't get the handle back on. And then everything fits together like that. Pretty simple. And this is what it looks like put back together. How does it shoot? Well, spoiler alert, I am still coming to terms with the fact that I'm about to lose every dart I fire out of this thing. Let's get a little crazy. We will turn that up there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. As much as I can. So that still kind of pops off a little bit. But this will not go back in. And if I rotate the turret, point it at the wall, and I'm going to cover my face. It shoots ridiculously hard. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, at about 15, the pump comes so tight that this ring pops off, but we can fit a couple more in there. And there, that was a loud boom from the BOOMco. Again, rotate one more time. I love this rotation mechanism. It's really, really satisfying to turn. And, well, what's my opinion on the BOOMco Burstwave after it's been turned up to a 13? It's very impressive. You could still replace the pump. You could still do something like replacing the tank. But all in all, out of the frickin' box with just some light modifications, I mean, really all you needed was super lube, epoxy putty. You might not even need this because you can use hot glue as well, and of course hot glue. And what do you get? Well, my outside range tests, which are very, very difficult to film right now, show this thing shooting farther than a Rapid Madness. Actually a little bit farther, marginally farther, and yet this is shooting 4 darts at once, and that was flat while the Rapid Madness was angled. So this thing is an absolute terror now. I cannot wait to take it to Dart Wars. It is, again, a very, very small package and very, very effective. I wish I had a pump grip that would lock, and I do have one that might still be a mod to do in the future, but right now, this thing is an absolute beast, and I highly, highly recommend if you pick one of these up, you do these very simple mods. There is a couple of caveats, however. One, I seem to have a random issue with the pump just not holding air. And as soon as I take it apart, it works again. And then put it back together and it stops working, and I kind of have to fiddle with it. I thought that was the spring with the arm not being strong enough, so I replaced that with a stronger one, and I still had a little bit of issues. The last time I took it apart, however, I've been using it all this time and have no issues with it whatsoever. So hopefully that's cleared up. And the other issue is that I have no idea how long this mod is going to last. The kind of plug I put on the ORPV, the OPRV, the overpressure release valve, there we go, I keep getting that mixed up, is, well, it could fail at any time. And the other problem about that is that we don't know how well this tank is going to take high pressures. With the older tanks, you'd notice that they would kind of blow out the back or kind of bulge out, and you'd have to cover them and all sorts of crazy stuff to get them to hold a huge amount of pressure. And, well, this is held together by screws, and I don't know if it's exactly better or worse. To me, that seems like it would be worse because there's a lot more places for it to fail, but who knows? All I can say right now is that this thing is now my favorite blaster ever. Yeah, you could single it. Heck, you might even be able to single it using these turrets, but as a shotgun, it is extremely effective right now. It absolutely blows the crap out of the Sludge Fire, which is disappointing because the Sludge Fire is one of my favorite blasters. But this right here, I would say this is definitely war-worthy, especially for how small of a package and how much power I'm getting. And again, at a $25 price tag, I don't know how worth it is to you, but those of you that have already seen this, you probably, if you already want one, already went out to buy one. So Other than that, well, I'm excited, and I hope you've enjoyed this kind of small series of videos, because the Burstwave is not to be messed with. And rest assured, I am working diligently to make sure that when the brake flip comes out, and I'm actually holding out for the Target brake flips, if they show up at Toys R Us, I'm probably not going to buy them, because the Target brake flips are a hell of a lot cooler. And the Dart Explosion, both of those are on my to-do list. The Crank Bow I might get, but right now, these three blasters are going to be probably the best ones. Yeah, I could get a Spinsanity as well, but I'm going to wait to see what they do with that one. BOOMco's back, baby! And, well, Nerf, I'm hoping you've got some more things lined up for Christmas, because so far, I don't know. I still think my love for BOOMco is going to outrank what I have for foam darts. Seriously, these are amazing blasters thus far. And I'll see you next time.